So I'm going to go on and talk about some industry developments. There are a number of different guidelines that you can find on the IPAF website. There's a list of them here. We provide information with regards to safety harnesses and powered access equipment, familiarization of powered access equipment, exiting the platform at height, thorough examinations. We also provide guidance on ground conditions, the important do's and don'ts to avoid crushing, and the guidance on rescue plans as well. We also provide quite a lot of information with regards to mast climbing work platforms, example handover certificates, load charts, and thorough examination certificates. What I want to talk to you today briefly about is crushing do's and don'ts, which is a relatively new policy. Exiting the platform at height, which is a question that we get asked a lot by contractors. I'm going to briefly talk about ground conditions, access controls, and then briefly about IPAF Rental Plus. So we've recently produced some guidance on the important do's and don'ts to avoid trapping and crushing injuries. As you can see from this video, you need to take into consideration the work area before doing the job. So some of the do's and don'ts. Before moving the platform, scan the area around the platform for obstructions. Check the direction of the platform movement before operating the travel controls. Before moving the platform, repeatedly scan the area. Move at speeds that allow you to fully control the machine at all times. It's not a race. Move the platform clear of obstructions before using the MEWP travel or main boom. Take into account any overrun that may happen from when you let go of when you put it to stop. There might be a slight amount of overrun. Maintain sufficient vertical clearance between the platform and obstructions when moving the platform or maneuvering the MEWP. Do not lean over the guardrails while the MEWP is moving. Do not lean over the control panel at any time. And do not place objects on the control panel. While working at height, do, whenever possible, isolate the power to the MEWP. Do not operate on the ground which is littered with objects. Do not carry your mobile phone while operating a MEWP. And do not work with loose materials or trailing leads from the platform to the floor. You must also always ensure that you've got a rescue plan in place when there's a situation where somebody's in trouble at height. And always carry out daily checks. You'll be able to find from our stand, which is just around there, these cards which have a list of pre-use inspections and also workplace inspections. They're handy little cards that you can give out to your operators to ensure that they're doing the pre-use checks before getting on the machine. We worked quite heavily with the UK-based Strategic Forum for Construction Plant Safety to develop best practice guides for the use of MEWPs and avoiding trapping and crushing injuries to people in platforms. I'd advise you to go onto the IPAF website where you can download that document. It's an extremely useful document. So this is a question we get asked quite a lot. Can you exit the platform at height? MEWPs are specifically designed to lift people into a position where they can carry out the work and then return to the ground. So you should only be exiting the platform when a rigorous risk assessment has been carried out and determines that that is the safest way for the job to be done. Lots of guidance can be found on this with regards to exiting the work platform at height from BS 8460, the Safe Use of MEWPs, which is a code of practice, and also there's some information with regards to it in the Safe Use of Mobile Elevating Work Platforms in arboriculture. Also, a question we get asked quite a lot is what is our policy on spreader plates? IPAF's assessment of ground conditions, it says it is strongly recommended that suitable spreader plates should always be used under the outrigger feet, irrespective of apparent ground conditions. In BS 8460, it says spreader pads are often required when outriggers are placed on unmade ground, soil surfaces where underground voids might be present that could cause the surface to collapse under the outrigger. We are currently in development of a web page which we're hoping is going to be coming up later in this year, which will be able to be used by operators and employers to be able to assess the ground conditions on the site, give you examples, so you can fully assess the ground conditions that the MEWP will be operated on prior to the work taking place. As I say, hopefully that will be ready in about by the end of the year. I briefly wanted to talk to you about some of the issues that hirers are coming up against at the moment. Is they don't know who's using the equipment. They don't know whether or not the operators that are using the equipment are trained. A lot of people on site borrowing equipment that they're not trained to be able to operate. The hire company has no idea who's broken the equipment when it gets broken. Operators that are fully trained for the equipment and hired the equipment turn up to the machine and the battery's flat. What we're currently developing is an IPAF smart PAL card. Essentially what you'll be able to do is you'll have your PAL card and you'll be able to put it against the machine, and that will determine whether or not you can operate the card. Without the card, you wouldn't be able to operate the machine. Other benefits of this is that we will be able to ensure that all operators are working the machine, are trained. This will be something that will enable the employers, as yourselves, to ensure that these guys are trained. We'll be able to also get information on when they've used the machine and send that back to IPAF, so it would be a way of monitoring competency. Use it as a digital logbook. There are also other benefits that could be incorporated into the machine, for example, protecting the machine against theft. We can put devices onto machines now where there's a GPS system, so you can always know where the machine is, and also record data that can be sent back to the hire company, so it can tell the hire company when the batteries are low, whether or not there are any issues with the machine, so they can remotely access that information and try and sort out problems rather than having to wait for the hire company to send somebody down. This is something that we would like to say would be available by the end of the year. We're also already trialling this on machines. It will be the choice of the hire companies and the manufacturers to whether they go down the route of putting this onto the machine, but obviously it depends on the main contractors to determine whether or not they want that kind of device on their sites. We also have a website on our website now, an area where you can type in the operator number of a candidate, and it will bring up a photo of that person, giving you data on what they were trained on, and when they were trained, and when their expiry date is, and to make sure that their card is valid for work on site. I just briefly, I've been given the nod that I'm going over time, so I just briefly want to talk to you about IPAF Rental Plus. IPAF Rental Plus is an accreditation system that has been designed for hire companies. It's based on the independent assessment by ISO 9001 lead auditors, and it covers areas such as customer service, safety, staff training, contract terms and conditions, and machine inspection. It ensures that, for example, that we would audit to see that the hire companies are asking the right questions, so you are getting the right machine for the job on site. It also ensures that all of the people within the hire company are trained to be able to give you the information you need to be able to get the right machine for the job that's being taken place.